Energy centers are fundamental resources for staying connected to the energy around you. In the universe, it's a pulse of energy, a grid that we're all connected to. It governs everything it is and everything it is everywhere, and we're part of it. Now, because we have a consciousness, when this energy enters our body, it does something different than when it enters a rock or a creature that doesn't know that it was created by something other than itself. It fuels our body like a battery, but it also creates an energy that we can stream information from a higher intelligence into our being. So learning how these energy centers work in your body is very important, because if you're getting evidence that a life you didn't intend to have has showed up for you, one that you're not enjoying, one that you can't control, and that is not manageable, there's a good chance that your energy centers are not able to flow and bring you the alignment that your body is intended to have. So let's walk through it and see how they all connect to each other. So if we use the analogy of nature, it can give you an easy visualization of how our inner ecosystems work, very similar to our outer ecosystems. If we think of the rain flowing as all of the divine energy that's flowing into us and into the soil of our lives and into our thoughts and the spaces where we're spending our time emotionally, and how it's filling us with the nutrients and creating a space for the seeds of our inner life to grow, the seeds of our thoughts, our creativity, our hopes, our emotional wellness, our dreams, our personal growth. So just like a sapling, over time, these beautiful sprouts start to open up, and that's us. And the roots start growing into the ground, and that's the daily practice and the awareness of how our energy is flowing. And so we have all these beautiful varieties and all these species that are drawing from the same sunlight and the same rain and the same soil. That's how it shows up in the physical world. And that means within us, all the parts of us are sharing the same space. The wounded parts, the healed parts, the wise ones, the unenlightened ones, all parts of us, just like the species and creatures of the world, are drawing from the same elementals and their varying stages of development. So are we. So in the soil of our heart and of our daily routines, it's the sun and the rain that are giving us what we need to draw in the nutrients to continue our growth. The sun of enlightenment and a spiritual flow, and the rain of the connection to our higher selves. And like the physical world, all the roots of us and our inner work are meeting and mingling underneath the ground physically, but under the undertow of the backdrop of our lives. So within us, all of our processes are meeting and intermingling within us. Our physical, our spiritual, our emotional networks are all designed to support and work together. But if, like a plant, they're uprooted or they're blocked from the sun or the rain, they will go dormant. There's a phrase I like to use called the body politic, which explains this concept well. And it's how if one part of the body isn't working, none of the other parts of the body can work to their full capacity. So we know this is mirrored in the physical world. One part of our world is in pain and suffering, it's affecting the whole world. So if we think of us all physically, inwardly, and outwardly as a beautiful network of synergy and energy that's all meeting within this visible and invisible network of us, we can also see how our personal growth and groundedness connects to the world in which we live. Just like the roots of the trees are communicating under the ground, sending those vibrations around the world, emanating their voices through the air, things that are starting to be proved by science, we are also communicating within ourselves in visible and invisible ways. the self-talk, the inner dialogue. And this concept of oneness is best explained in how our energy networks are all connected to everything, everywhere, inwardly and outwardly. It's kind of this beautiful merging of energy. So we live in a space within ourselves where we are like the forest. We can have a 1,000-year-old tree next to a one-day-old flower, and we too have parts of ourselves that are still growing and developing, and parts that we haven't healed, young versions, and we also have very evolved versions. And so when we start to understand our ecosystem, we can understand that it requires us to have inner health, meaning keeping ourselves in healthy environments and filled with healthy foods physically, but we also must do the same for our spiritual body. These vehicles of us, these plants, we are here to convert this energy into a life flow, into a purposeful, meaningful experience of life and a thriving environment. We're not here just to survive, to eke out, and to get by. So just as the universe is made of endless vibration, frequency, and energy, so are we. And that same grid that flows through the cosmos is connecting to the meridians in our body. We're part of the flow. And it's those meridians that I want to talk to you about. They're called energy centers. And they start at the base of your spine and they run all the way up to the top of your head and just above. So let's see how these centers can influence your life experience, and how when they have crisscrossing, it can cause contradictions about who you are and affect your belief systems about your value and really damage your ability to flow with the proper energy, and how suppression of our emotional feelings are so damaging, and how they create many times illness and mental instability and confusion. But I would say what most visibly happens when we're not flowing in our energy centers is that we attract a life we didn't mean to attract, one that doesn't feel intentional or manageable or fulfilling. So let's walk through how these work together.